Hey, this is Tang, co-founder of Opti-fold Cosmetics. So before I used to be doing text messaging on the Kakao Talk app, but these days we got to be more efficient, and I think I can articulate my ideas more clearly on video. So these days I'm doing more voice and video messages. So thank you Opti-fold clients for actually using the symmetry assessment test. So I got some important details. I did send you a voice message previously about the details, but I'm just going to go over the certain points again. So I made some notes, and I have a picture of the important parts from your eyelid profile video, and I'm going to discuss about my insights. So on the symmetry assessment form, you've written that you're aged 25 to 30. So 25 to 30 is a good age to make double eyelids, because as you get older, it is much more easier for the skin to wrinkle in general. So with Opti-fold, because we're going to target specifically an area that when it wrinkles, it matches the way the eyelid opens. So every time the eyelid opens, it creates the wrinkle even more, which eventually will become permanent. So 25 to 30, that's a good age. Sometimes if you're too young, then it's a lot harder for the crease to form unless you have really the ideal eyelid profile. And we'll talk about that more on a different video on what kind of characteristics to look out for. So back to your symmetry assessments form, you've written that you never used other eyelid tapes or glue before. So this is going to be an important part, because if you never use other cosmetic eyelid tape products before, you don't know if you may have any allergic reaction to the actual product or to the stimulation caused by the product when you remove them. So regular eyelid tapes and glue, there's not much stimulation when you apply the product, but when you remove them, that's when you actually run the risk of rubbing your eye or pulling it or tugging it in a way that it's going to reinforce other micro creases, which will then play against your ideal eyelid crease. And that's technically the explanation of why eventually when you rub your eyes a lot or use other eyelid tape products, that eventually it takes a lot longer time for your skin to recover until finally it's like permanently unrecoverable. So back to your eyelid symmetry assessment form. You wrote that the crease forms if you flex the eyelids. So what this means is that you have the proper face shape and the proper skin type for the double eyelid to form faster. When you have the right face shape and the skin type, you can clearly see where the skin wants to actually form. But with the wrinkle, you're talking about a specific place that the skin must keep on folding sharply. And that's why if you have signs of the skin already wanting to fold, all we have to do, if you have the correct eyelid profile and no eyelid or nerve muscle damages, then all you have to do is target the correct spots for the crease to form every time the eyelid opens. So you've also written that uneven eyelids started happening a few years ago. So we've had cases where people had uneven eyelids for like 10 years, 12 years, and as soon as they use Opti-fold, I'm not joking, the crease will stay for a few hours, even for a full day. And the common thing is that people believe, oh, it must be the residual glue that's causing this. Even if it is the residual glue that's causing this, all the people who got permanent eventually didn't need to wear Opti-fold. They weren't able to get the results with other eyelid tape products. It was only through Opti-fold use that it eventually became permanent. So it's not the residual glue. The residual glue may assist, but you can test at an intermediate stage in your progress where you may still believe it's the residual glue, so you can test it out by applying lotion to the eyelid, and that will negate the adhesive effects of the residual glue, and the eyelid crease will still form properly because you've effectively conditioned the skin to behave the way you want it when the eyelid opens. So, so even though it happened a few years ago, you can still get fast results. Obviously, if you just got your uneven eyelids like a week ago and you found us, and you're lucky to have your tapes like within a week, then if you say you just had it a month ago or 2 weeks ago, yeah, you can pretty much just wear Opti-fold, and in about 3 months, yeah, it should be back to normal. So the cause, you've written that it's unknown, but through pictures it was forming over the years. So that is also a general experience people have with our clients, that they didn't realize they had uneven eyelids because the skin would just change almost imperceptibly in very small amounts, obviously. So you won't notice this, but only in, say, an aggregate of all the pictures and all the days and years that has gone by, and you take a look at the small changes, yeah, it's it'll be very clear that you have uneven eyelids. And it's always best to address this problem early, but even if it's through several years, it wouldn't matter because this solution is still a lot more effective than any other cosmetic product out there. So, and you've also written that the uneven eyelids can become more uneven. So that's a good thing if you're going to want to have hope that you can solve your problem. When your uneven eyelid can become even more uneven, which means that the eyelid is already changing. So it shows that you have the correct skin type and face shape to this time take control of how it changes and just change it back to normal. Because with our tapes, it's custom sized, so it comes with individual sizes. This took a lot of years to actually figure out. And it comes with the proper shape that matches East Asian eyelids, which is South Korean, Japanese, Chinese, Singaporean, all different types. So we have the different tape sizes to match different types of Asian eyelids. And so when it becomes more even, you can actually take more control as to where you want the changes to go. Do you want it to become even more uneven or change it back to the way it was before? So that's a good sign. If you have uneven eyelids and it doesn't really change that much, that means the skin is already selecting it to be the permanent configuration. So although it may seem like it's, oh no, that's bad news, but that's what Opti-fold is for. That when you have uneven eyelids, it will take maybe a little bit more longer time for a really stable uneven eyelid to change to a stable symmetric eyelid, but it can be done because our tapes, they're custom sized, they stimulate the skin, and they actually don't cause the skin to ripple and to have like the sagging effects that you'll get with other cosmetic tape products. Okay, so that's from your symmetry assessment form, and then I'm going to go through the pictures I've taken that you sent to me with your eyelid profile video. So here I'm looking at picture 1. You have your right eyelid and your left eyelid, and these are frames of your eyelid as it opens. So immediately we can see at what position in the progress as you open your eyelids that you can begin seeing how the skin is starting to fold asymmetrically. It's just small variations in the micro creases that eventually causes the main crease to fold asymmetrically. These minor differences means that if you position the F-tape incorrectly, and we're talking about millimeters, because look at how small the micro creases are, you're not going to get the right effect. So this is why you have to use a tabletop mirror, because the tabletop mirror has a proper angle so you don't stress out your neck while you're looking down and raising your eyebrows, so that you extend the skin. And also, an extra added benefit of the tabletop mirror is the fact that it has magnification characteristics. So you won't get that kind of feature with a wall-mounted mirror. Otherwise, you're gonna feel dizzy, right? When you look at it. But with the tabletop mirror, it has that because you need to look at the fine details. You don't want to be off by even a millimeter. So we can see the micro creases forming, and that those small differences in the shape of the shape and size of the micro crease eventually causes the main crease to be totally asymmetric. In your case, like it eventually became like that as you aged. I'm looking at picture 2. This is when you're doing your tracing. So because you trace the shape that appears to be the one that can be stable, which means it can be permanent, it shows me that I know you know exactly which crease you have to target. So that's good. Sometimes I get videos of people not knowing how to trace, so they can't even visually like confirm the kind of crease they want because they don't know how to do tracing. So I see yours, the tracing is good. Now when I look at question number 3, there's one thing that concerns me a little bit. So your left eyelid, the one that's uneven, the one you just traced, so that one I can see the skin tension line being pushed in and being held there as you at least keep your eyelids open. But when you look at your right eyelid, so you know the crease isn't a complete crease that connects to the inner corner of the eye. So what I think can happen is that if you use Opti-fold, you're gonna get the crease as in picture number 2, the last shot, you're gonna get that crease. But then what about your right eyelid, right? So we either gonna have to position the tapes differently so that it matches exactly like your right eyelid, or if you realize that, and I think in your case it will be fast, so if you realize like, oh yeah, it wasn't that much time to, you know, to make the left eyelid the way you want it, and then you decide, hey, let's do the right eyelid because it actually took pretty fast. I think in your case you're gonna get all day results within the week for sure, because you're not making a wrinkle and you already have micro creases, which shows that your skin, there's excess skin to be used, and the fact that your eyelid becomes changes, so it becomes even more uneven or goes back to this current normal state, shows that we can control which direction it's going to change. So you're going to get pretty fast results due to those reasons. You may want to consider about your right eyelid, it's up to you, but if we can actually make your left eyelid match exactly through creative tape placement of the F tape, then we can take that direction and see how it goes. But it's a lot more easier to create a crease that connects in the inner corner of the eye, because we simply had way more cases like that. We haven't done much of parallel crease cases, so that's the reason why it takes, first of all, it takes longer, and second of all, because the fact it takes longer, most people don't go that route, so they end up taking the route that's faster, which is the crescent type double eyelid. So yeah, those are my insights, and I hope you found it interesting. Regarding the tape size, I wanted you to go for size 5. The large for East Asian eyelids, which you mentioned you're Chinese, and it's crescent, size 5 is the general shape for it. Anything bigger than size 5, you're gonna have to have like lots of excess skin, or your facial profile and eyelid profile matches the kind where you have like a parallel type double eyelids. That's when but that's when you can use size 6 and stuff like that. But size 5, like what I see over here, is gonna be a good match for you. Okay, I hope you found this video helpful, and I'll talk to you some more.